Hello, this time I'm talking with Miki York, Ghosthunter extraordinaire. Hi, Mickey.
Hi, how are you? Nice to
Hey,
be
I
here,
am
thank
so
you.
chuffed to have you on. Straight into it. I'm a ghost hunter, and
Yep.
then observing things that I watch on social media, and your name kept cropping up. And I thought, oh, it's just some urban explorer. I thought, I didn't think we quite was in the same path. And then you kept coming up, and I thought, who is this? Who is this guy? And then I realized you were a ghost hunter. I'm like, oh, all right, okay, fair enough. Invested. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
not a few months after that, you were on Are You Haunted? I'm like, yeah, okay, right. I need to get in touch with this guy. Give me your story, right, from coming on the scene. What drove you into it, and what's your journey?
Well, I started back in 2008. I was very much a fan of Most Haunted. Never seen anything paranormal at all. Just like watching it with my mum and dad when I was younger. And I thought in 2008, I thought, I can do that. Is it difficult? Is it easy to get into? So I went to a local cemetery with my friend and just to see what it was like. It was very scary. I was scared of the dark.
Yeah.
It grew from there really. I was with a few local teams, slowly progressed, and then it just built from there really, and I've been going strong ever since really.
So pretty much going on your own eventually.
For the last 2 years, I've been on my own. Yes, I was with UK Haunted previously for about 10 years, 11 years.
Right.
I was on TV in 2016 with Celebrity Haunted Hotel. So that was a very interesting experience. 9 live shows on TV is very daunting, very scary. It's not what you imagine it to be like.
Yeah. That's
So
pressure, that.
oh yeah, very much so. You got microphones in your ears. You've got camera guys. You've got crew. You've got sound guys, lighting people, and there's just so many people around you. And it's like, go. You've got to do your stuff now.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not really going to get any activity because it's like 100 people on set
I was going to say,
at
yeah.
a location. So the idea was great and it was all done in good faith, but it is difficult for any activity really to happen.
Wow, live. I mean, you've got no
Yeah.
editing. I mean, you know
Nope.
as well as I do. You can sit there 2 hours till you get anything.
Exactly.
So,
That's what I'm saying. There was a lot of pressure.
yeah.
Uh, we got the odd knock, bang, the odd voice here and there. We tried different experiments to try and possibly look good for the cameras, look good for the TV. Some of them were quite good, but yeah, it was a good experience. Very very surreal, very valuable to myself.
Mm.
Learned a lot during that time. But yeah, definitely very proud of myself for having the opportunity and for the people to give me that opportunity to be on there in the first place.
Yeah. So, what were your takeaways from doing something like that? What bits of investigation methods have you kept with?
Nothing really changed, to be fair. How we investigated beforehand, we did on the show, and it's pretty much carried on since. Not really changed anything. My style won't be changed. TV won't tell me how to investigate, things like that. So I'm very honest. I'm not going to change.
Mm.
So nothing really. I didn't really. I took a lot from it, the experience, how daunting it was. But I also learned that, like I say, you're gonna normally you're sat in locations for hours getting not much at all. Whereas with this experience, they wanted it to happen within like 20 minutes,
Yeah.
30
It's
minutes.
almost inauthentic, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Not on purpose, but obviously the situation. That's what it causes, unfortunately.
Mm.
So but yeah,
Yeah, it's the same with public events. I find
yes,
you're
very much
always
so.
so eager, or if you have
Yeah.
good activity, like you make a good video, right? You must have people saying, "Can I come with you, Mickey?" and experience the same thing. And yeah, obviously you want a crowd to say, "Come witness what I just witnessed."
Mm.
And something, the more people you have, the harder it is to hear things and dismiss people. Yeah, it's a hard balance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think public events, they mean well.
Mm.
Obviously, it's a great. I mean, I've been on public events just so that I can visit a location because sometimes they're so expensive you can't even afford to go there. So to get on a public event sometimes is necessary just to experience what the location is like. But you do get a lot of people. Some people have never been there before. Some people are too scared. Some people are maybe a few too many drinks beforehand for
Oh
Dutch
yeah.
courage. There's a lot of giggling, a lot of screaming, suggestion. So there's normally too many people in the location. Woodchester Mansion is a good one. Great location. But I went once on a public event and we were in separate parts of the building. I mean, it's a big building, but the sound just travels.
Doesn't
So
it?
you could be 50 feet away, but it sounds like they're next room.
Yeah.
So you can't rule out anything. It's unfortunately public events are good, but the evidence not so much.
Yeah, and like you and I both proved that you watch it and think, surely I could have a go at that, and there's
Hmm.
nothing to stop anyone, and it's
No.
better that you do it yourself, really.
Oh yeah, why can't you? Why shouldn't you?
Hmm.
Anyone can go to a graveyard in daytime, nighttime, maybe in your own house.
Yeah,
Anywhere can be haunted, whether it's daytime or night. So what
yeah.
is stopping people doing it? It's not just if you're on TV you're allowed. Anyone can do it. So
Yeah.
you know.
So do you find that? I mean, how do you get your locations? Let's go that way.
Um, Sometimes it depends who I'm going with. If I collab with somebody, they'll have a location in mind, or I'll see maybe someone's YouTube video, and I think, oh, that looks a good place to see if it's
Mm.
accessible. Or I've just word of mouth really.
Yeah,
I used to hire out buildings with other people. Sometimes I still do that, like team hires. It brings the cost down, and you go off on your own. So there's no public; it's just other teams. I do that quite a lot with Paracom. They do that there for their guys and that. So, but yeah, it's generally just watching, seeing what's about. To be
mm.
fair, I'll go anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. You seem
It's
willing to
it's
to do anything, try anything. I mean,
Well, yeah.
that's fair enough. So your methods then, take me through. If I'm going on an investigation and I'm going to watch you perform a normal night, what will I see? Setting
Okay,
up
where
or whatever.
where are we? Indoors or outdoors?
Let's say, indoors, definitely. We're in
Okay.
a warehouse that has 2 floors, pretty open plan down the bottom, and a lot of rooms up top. How are we going to do it?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd want to know if there's any certain areas that are active, any things that have been reported in the past, maybe certain historical figures or people that I know about. So you could bring in trigger objects to place around. I would set up audio recorders in certain areas, locked off cameras, and then once the whole building is set up, ready to go, I would investigate area by area using various bits of equipment as I go along, really.
All right, so you want to know the details prior. You want to
Um,
know
not
certain
not
rooms.
necess- not really, not necessarily. But obviously, if it's a famous place,
Mm,
say there's a child, I would bring objects like trigger objects for a child that, in theory, could attract a child spirit if it is there.
yeah,
So the likelihood of capturing something sound or visual would obviously increase. So I would use objects that I would put down. Hopefully, they would like to play with. Well, that's
yeah.
the theory anyway. Quite often, most places I go to, I don't really know history
Mm.
about the location, unless it's like a historical place. But I don't really go to them because they're expensive.
If
Yeah.
we're walking around this imaginary place with meters, do you
Yep.
do a baseline beforehand? Do you walk around before the investigation starts and thinks, "Oh, that's high in this room because of this fuse box," or do you just discover it as you go?
Normally just discover it as I go along, but obviously if you get a reading on whatever bit of equipment it is, you have to know how your equipment works and
Yeah.
why it works. So if you do get a reading, you got to rule out what it could possibly be naturally
Mm,
beforehand. If you keep getting, say, high EMF maybe in one area, you got to figure out why it's only that area
mm,
first before you can say, oh no, it's a ghost or
yeah.
whatever you think it's going to be. So yeah, I think it's important. You can't just think that, oh yeah, it's a spirit because my
Mm,
gadget went off or anything like that. You've got to know why it's gone off first, and if you rule out everything else, and there's nothing really that you can be used as an example of of natural, then it could be paranormal.
yeah.
That's what
It
I look at.
goes the other way for us sometimes. We'll walk around, do the baselines, get a
Mm.
high hit, and so what I have is these little square red cards. Throw it down
Okay.
on the floor.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
So when we're going next time, it's like, well, I expect a spike, but you know what? Sometimes it goes the other way. It's really high, and you think, well, something wiring, whatever. And then
Mm.
when you're on the investigation, there's nothing, and you're like,
Okay.
well, it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the opposite, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
who's to
I
say?
mean, how many people in your team?
5.
Five. Yeah, see, it's normally just me or
Yeah,
a couple of others, so not really having the chance to baseline really depending on where it
yeah.
is, I suppose.
Why would you? Yeah, on
Um,
your own.
yeah. But
Mm,
yeah, I used to do that when I was with a bigger team initially. We would go around doing baselines. We'd write everything down.
mm,
We'd have somebody writing down information we got throughout the investigation. So it was proper, like each team member had a structure. They had something that they would do and they had a job. So
mm.
yeah, I've done that in the past.
Yeah, I
So
do like that. I do like the
yeah,
fact of
yeah,
organisation. Everyone knows what they're doing,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, but it generally goes to pot. It's like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You
Well,
chat for five
sometimes.
minutes. You chat for 5 minutes, and it's like, anyway, should we crack on with what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, right. Investigating alone.
Okay, yeah.
Dangerous or not?
It can be. Normally, the alone one is like local to where I live. There's a few local areas that I would go to. Obviously, I would tell somebody that I'm going there, in case I
Yeah.
don't come back, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, it is. I don't do so much alone anymore. Daytime, definitely,
Yeah,
like
sure. That's
alone
fine.
filming, like days off work or whatever.
Mm.
If people are busy with family, so I'll go on my own just to see what it's like, get some experience in the location. But nighttime, not so much really, because obviously there are some idiots around nowadays.
Mm.
Not for the paranormal reasons, just for the living reasons. To be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because if you go to a place and you fall through a floor,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know that's a danger. Or step on a nail or something
Yeah,
in the dark, specifically.
especially most places, like abandoned places nowadays that you
Yeah.
can go to that are alone. You can go on your own and don't need really permission to be there.
Mm.
You don't know what's there. Is the structure secure? It's quite dangerous, like you say.
Mm. What about spiritually? Do you feel like there's more activity? Are you more threatened on your own or not?
I would say that is your own mind playing tricks on you because you're a bit scared. Back in mind, you're thinking, oh my God, if something happened, there's only me,
Mm.
you know. So I think that can play a big part in how you're feeling on the investigation, to be fair. Like if you were with somebody else, it'd be totally different. You'd be fine, no
Mm.
issues whatsoever. But on your own, you just never know, you
Yeah,
know.
I think that's wise words. I because I agree with them. Yeah, I think if you're in a mentally stable place, you feel a lot safer.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
I'd
mean,
agree with
you're
that.
going looking for ghosts, aren't you? And so some people, if they hear a noise, a good evidence, they're out of there, and it's like, well, why are you bothering then?
Oh yeah, don't leave.
You know? Yeah, that's
That's
what
why
you
you're
want, isn't it?
going.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you see that with other teams. You know, don't go in there. It's all got out of hand. Why? Because it did what you said. You know?
Exactly. You're asking it to make a noise or throw something, and
Yeah,
it does, and you're gone. I mean, what are you doing? Why are you there in
yeah,
the first place? You
yeah.
know, just
Weird.
don't go back. Just stop it.
Yeah. So, do you do protection at all, or do you have any rituals like that?
No, I used to, but I think with protection, you are limiting what can possibly happen to you. I'm going into an investigation, opening myself up to contact spirit, whether it's good, bad.
Mm,
I can't just go in there and say, right, I only want the good to come and see me. The rest of you bad ones can stay over there because you're not experiencing everything. I mean, I think that's quite silly. I think people that do, I mean, protection is open to interpretation, really. Is it a religious thing? Is it just something to keep your mind at ease? Like, oh yeah, I'm okay because I've like got the white light around me or whatever.
mm,
You know, it can work for people, and that's fair play to them. You know, but for myself personally, I'm not really a religious person. I'm not really spiritual, so
mm.
I don't really need to have it for
Yeah.
myself. Really, I don't think.
Well, we as a team started doing protection
Yeah,
because that's what we saw everyone else do at the start, and
yeah,
then we were like, well, let's try it without protection. You know what?
mm.
Does activity ramp up? And effectively, nothing much happened without protection. And then we always use Ouija boards, okay? So there's that extra
Yeah,
level of supposedly talking to someone. And when we eventually near the end of the night said, let's just put it on for the last quarter of an hour, then the Ouija board was fine, saying, look, you've made a mess. I'll look out for you. This is a place we did regular. The Ouija
okay,
boards are like, you've caused a load of ruckus that I've had to protect you from. And so I've stopped everything from coming through to you. And I don't know. I also nowadays we do protection for, like you just touched on, it's the mental focus of, look, concentrate on the white light. We're all here to do this one thing. We're
mm.
opening ourselves up. It's more of a mantra, if you like.
Yeah, yeah,
And I kind of more make it an invitation. So we create the white light around ourselves and kind of like shoot it into an imaginary darkness.
hmm,
And as I'm talking, it's like, listen to come towards my voice.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
here in respect. So it's more of an opening conversation, really. But yeah, when you break down protection, if you're a ghost hunter and you're like, I'm putting a shield up so nothing can well, hang on, you want people, then you're saying, touch me, do that. Well, you just put a shield up, and it's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's just open to interpretation how you look at it, really.
Yeah, but it's a crutch. It's a psychological crutch for people who are new to it.
Yeah, if it
But I
helps
think it's
them, then
important.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah, it is. I used to do
Mm,
it at the beginning.
yeah,
So,
I still do it. It's
you
like
know,
me switching on. Like I say, it's like me opening my mind up.
yeah,
But it's not. It's not through fear of not doing it. It's part of the process. I think for me now.
yeah. I remember
Yeah.
being in Nottingham Caves once. I was helping out on a public event, and we were in the caves, and we were just about to start the first vigil, and there was a lady there. I think she was with her daughter, and she said, "Oh, aren't we going to do protection?" And I thought, well, this isn't my event for a start. I don't really do protection, but I
Mm.
know how to do it. So for her sake, I did like a bodged protection, I suppose, like the white light surrounding the
Mm.
body, opening yourself up to protection and the light. And she was a lot happier after that.
Yeah.
So, I suppose whatever helps
Mm.
your mind while you're on like the investigation, I suppose.
Yeah, because it's at the end, isn't it? If you remember to close down, you say like everyone get together. Now we're switching off from spiritual protection, and you can all go back to your normal lives. I think that's the thing that a lot of people need.
Mm.
Like, okay, if something falls over at home, as things do, they're not
Yeah,
gonna, be on the
yeah.
phone to me saying, "What have you done?" Do you know what
Yeah,
I
yeah, it wasn't
mean?
me.
Yeah. Right, meters. I saw your post, and you were testing meters
Yeah,
today. Bits of equipment in non-paranormal environments, and I think that's really really important. I like to do that because a lot of people they don't know how the device works, and they only ever use it on an investigation.
yeah.
And it's like, well, why is it doing that? Oh, I don't know. Just spirits in it. Well, how do you know that? You might just do that after a quarter of an hour of being on.
Exactly. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I always try and test out equipment before I use it in the field because, like you say, you don't know what it's gonna to act like while you're out there. I mean, it could give false readings, it could be damaged, it could be broken, it might not work the way it's supposed to.
Hmm.
So I think it's very important to understand what you're using, and if you're gonna put your name to it, not look an idiot, really.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people out here that do this that will know better than you possibly, and they will, you will lose credibility. They'll just think you're an idiot. You're not learning like you're supposed to. You're not progressing. You're not understanding what you're using and why you're using it.
Mm.
So it's very much important to me to learn what I'm doing first
Yeah.
before I go out into the field.
Mm. So, what sort of meters do you generally use?
I like to use spirit boxes. I love them. The Alice box.
Oh,
I
what's
lo-
an Alice box in particular?
Alice box is a small box, and it you switch it on and it scans. So what it does, it changes the environment, and it's a bit like an Ovilus.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's got a word. It's a word generator. And it's thought that spirits can pick the words, obviously, like they always do.
Mm.
But this one is probably the best bit of kit I've ever used. I've had it for about 4 years now. Infrared make it, and it's like sometimes we've had like me and you chatting. Like you're the Alice box. I'll ask a question, it'll tell me the answer.
Mm.
It's been that good on
Yeah.
certain occasions. One time I was in Edinburgh. I'd stayed over at Crayman Island with Mark from West London Paranormal, and we were just about to leave, and we were talking about because we stayed there overnight, and the tide had come in, and the tide had, obviously we were waiting for it to go so we could go back to land. And we were talking about the water rising, how high it came up, and it had come up water risen on the
Yeah.
Alice box within
That's
like
good.
without like a minute, and I'm like, oh my god, how's it doing that? And
Yeah.
it's just situations like that from all the times I've used it, and it's like amazing,
Yeah.
you know.
And you do get that a lot, and that is the another reason to let it play at home and record it
Yes,
and look back
yes,
and go, it just said random crap. Well, good, because then I know it should say random crap when I'm investigating. And if it's saying like water risen, then
yeah,
you're like, yeah, that's accurate.
yeah, yeah.
That's
That's
good.
what I mean. Yeah, definitely get if any bit of equipment you get, whether it's new, whether you've seen it before. If it's the first time you've had it, just let it play in your house for a little bit,
Mm.
you know. Same with I like the music boxes that people set up for motion. So
Yeah.
sometimes, obviously, they calibrate first, but they just leave it in your house. If it never goes off, brilliant.
Mm.
Just check it every now and again, walk past it, see if it goes off. If it does, then brilliant. So you know when you go out onto an investigation, it doesn't normally go off.
Mm.
Like my REM pod never ever goes off. I don't think my REM pod's ever gone off
Yeah.
to this day, whether it's at home or an investigation.
Mm.
So for me, if that does go off whenever, that's brilliant for me because I know it doesn't go off. It's
Yeah.
annoying it doesn't go off because I see other people's ones and they're always going off,
Mm.
and it's like, why doesn't mine go off?
Yeah.
But
Because we had a piece of equipment like that, a meter that was obviously not sensitive enough or something, and you'd
mm,
always put it down. And one time it went off in the cellar of a cinema, and we were like, "Whoa, that never goes off."
exactly,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? It was cool. Yeah.
yeah, they're the good times.
Yeah, exactly. So you find those sort of word bank things your favorite or the most effective, or
I
why?
would I like to use them alongside a spirit box quite often. So I've got two bits, and
Mm,
sometimes I'll get half of an answer on the spirit box and the other half on, say, the Alice box.
yeah,
So yeah, I like more than one bit of evidence, for that current situation. I'd like something else like a bang, and then my emotion thing will go off, just so it like validates what you're hearing, or
perfect.
or say you feel sick or you get touched,
Mm,
and the Alice box will say stomach or your arm,
yeah.
or sick. So it's like validating what you're personally feeling.
Mm.
So I like things like that, not just the one-off thing. I like things that support the evidence.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We even tried, eventually after doing it for so long, we thought, come on, let's try these stupid apps on the phone. And one of them were doing spelt, it said Jennifer as Jennifer was being spelt on the board. And you were
Ah,
like, oh, that's interesting,
that's good.
And as two things that we did possibly, a Ouija board, you're touching it, so there's always that, but you can't affect an app. Now, although apps are just as ridiculous in a way as a lot of these spirit boxes because it's simply a random word thing. But the spirits do seem to affect the spirit boxes. Why can't they affect a cheap app? Really? Do you know what I mean? What's the difference?
Yeah, because so many things that you get on a spirit box coming through, there's no way there's. I mean, I've been called the C word, FU, so
Oh
much
yes, it's
stuff.
not
All
in the
on
bank.
spirit
Yeah.
box, that is not on the radio.
No.
And the words that come through, I know it's only like a quarter of a second on each scan normally,
Yeah.
depending on which spirit box you're using at the time. There's no way. They're not normal words that are coming through, normal conversations
Mm.
that you hear on the radio when you're driving around or you're at work. They're
No.
totally different. So yeah, I do really love spirit boxes,
Yeah.
and I also find that the ones that have white noise, you normally get activity elsewhere as well. It's like it's just the white noise is building static, building energy. So you're getting odd words coming through, but over there you're hearing voices, you're hearing bangs,
Mm.
footsteps, doors moving. I've had that quite a few times where that's happened while I've been using Spirit Box.
Mm. So why do we
So
need to scan a spirit box? Why can't we just leave it on one white noise channel?
people do that. I've seen them before. Yeah, you don't have to scan them. You just leave them on because you can get the manual ones, can't you? The
Yeah.
manual turning ones that don't continuously
Mm.
scan. Yeah,
But like the SB7, you just before you have to literally click it to scan. So
yeah,
you can just
yeah.
stop
You
it on
can.
there.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, well, why not? It rules out the radio stations.
yeah. Because spirits obviously don't have a voice box, and you're giving them the frequency for their voice by using like white noise. So it's
Mm.
quite often used recording EVP sessions if you play some like brown noise or white noise in the
Yeah.
background, only low level, just to give the spirits some energy, sort of frequency for their voice. And you'll find that you'll get more voices coming through because you've helped them, give them that
Mm.
extra bit of help.
Yeah. I saw an EVP you caught. Very impressive. It said something about hang yourself.
Oh, I was
But
shocked. I
you
was
showed the
shocked.
audio of you saying the question, absolutely dead air, and then the response was like clear.
I know. I was shocked.
Mm.
Absolutely shocked. I was with my kids and my nephew that night underground, and that's the best song I ever caught. Hang
Yeah.
yourself. It's like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
That wasn't there, and I made sure I put in the video of me holding the recorder,
Hmm.
so you can hear video like there's nobody talking, no one saying anything, and people can go and edit that and see if they can see that I've added bits. There's 100% nothing in that, and
No.
yeah, that was amazing. I was
Super
I was
exciting.
shocked. That
Yeah.
keeps you going. It's things like that Like when you have a night of nothing and then you get that one thing and you're like, wow, that keeps you going for another year, you know?
Exactly. One of my questions was what keeps you interested, and it is those milliseconds of, oh wow.
Exactly. I think it's the hope.
Yeah.
Like if you've experienced things before and you don't get something this time and the next time it's a bit crap, you don't really get nothing. I think if you're not passionate about it, you would give up, I
Mm.
think, after a while. But for me, there's always that hope, like, I'm going to get something amazing at some point. This is going to be like, wow, look at this, people. Come and have a look. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
the hope that I know at some point something's going to happen. Because I am a believer. I've seen too much, heard, felt too much to
Mm.
know there's nothing there, you know. So yeah,
Being a ghost hunter, I know as a team we get together and we'll have a lot of times where we're like, hey, remember when this thing happened? And you're like, oh yeah, that was amazing. And I'd forgotten,
yeah.
so many bits and pieces
Don't you
that,
find also though when you meet up with your team, yeah? Because I used to do this back in the day. You could like you're sat there just chatting away, having a coke or wherever you are, and then the next minute it's like 5 hours later, and all you've been doing is talking about locations, what you've seen on
mm,
telly,
yeah,
evidence you've seen on YouTube or whatever, and it just goes. You can talk to a paranormal investigator for hours, can't you?
yeah, yeah.
It's like it's so infectious.
Yeah, I do wish teams would share more information to each other. Everyone's very insular, and this was our night. I used to always post the write ups and now post videos and stuff, but it's like I want to share my evidence so that if anyone else goes back, they can correspond what they found, as a group
Yeah,
understanding. But
it's all jealousy.
it's
It's
weird,
all
isn't it?
the green-eyed monster. Yeah.
I don't believe in the para unity. I always see that and think that's not the experience I
That's
get.
that's
Jesus.
never. I've been to a few events like that where people
Mm.
teams trying to get lots of teams together, and some people, they are great.
They can be
People have
friendly,
got
don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
exactly. But then it's like I don't know. Yeah, there is that side of it where it's really toxic,
Yeah, yeah,
and
unfortunately.
people just do not help each other. And
No.
anything doesn't matter what evidence they get or they've achievement they've got, they're always crap on it and saying that's rubbish, that's
Mm.
that's fake and all that. It's like grow up,
Yeah.
it does my head in. Like
Mm.
everyone's in it for the same reason. We're all trying to get evidence. Be happy for because
Yeah.
that's how I sit now.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. People just idiots sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that can ever convince you is your own experiences anyway. Even in
Yeah,
the team, if one of my team sees something, really excited for them, but it doesn't alter yourself because you didn't see it. So,
yeah,
they're not trying to say you must believe in this because I say it happened. It's like, no, no, that fully on board with what you saw, but you've all got to see it for yourself to share that wonder, I
yeah.
suppose. So, have you any good experiences that you couldn't explain, where you were like, "What just happened?"
Quite a lot. To be
Mm.
fair, you're gonna put me on the spot now, aren't
I know it's hard to think of it, but
you?
that's a stupid question. Right, I'm going to ask you about. I'm going to ask you about mediums.
Okay.
You're not a medium, right?
No, extra
That,
large.
nah,
Sorry.
okay.
Boom, boom. Yeah, no, I'm
So,
not. I'm not a medium. No,
no, not
no,
sensitive. You wouldn't class yourself as
no.
that.
I do feel sick sometimes. I think spirits can affect you,
Mhm.
and they can let you know how they're feeling. So I get that quite
Okay.
often, sickness and feelings. But I can't. I'm not a. Like, I can't see stuff. I'm not a medium. I don't talk to them. I don't hear them in my head.
Mm.
So nothing like that.
What's your thought on mediums as a rule?
No. There's obviously that reputation. Quite often back in the day, you'd have like a paranormal team, and then I'd have one medium
Mm.
in the team. A bit like Most Haunted with Derek
Of
originally.
course,
Yeah.
seems to make sense on paper.
Yeah. I mean, I've known a few good mediums in the past. A local lady called Penny, who I used to actually be in a team with back in the day. She was very good. Ryan Griffiths as well. I've worked with him a few times. He's very good.
Mm.
So some are good. Obviously, it depends what they're in it for. If they're doing these shows like
Yeah.
in theatres, then are they doing it for the money? Are they doing personal reading? I want someone to come up to me and tell me what my nan does or did.
Mm.
Things, personal things that no one really knows.
Yeah.
And Ryan's done that for me when I first met him. So yeah,
I've as a ghost hunter, in the early days more so, I would dabble with at least mix among mediums,
yeah,
and they would always try and impress you with their mediumship. Well, you didn't ask them to. It was just like, oh, you've got this in your past, and your brother's called whatever, and you're like, well, that's not. You telling me what my brother's called? I know what my brother's called. Tell me something. Tell me something unbelievable that I'm like, oh yeah, that was right. Well,
Yeah.
working with mediums and working with a Ouija board as well, if they're saying, "Oh, I think there's a little girl here," fine, great, thanks, okay. Are you a little girl? No, I'm a boy. See you then. You know what I mean? I
Bye.
could I could have done that. I can get whether it's a male or a female in two guesses, just like you can.
I
You know
like
what I
that. That's
mean?
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, with working with mediums on investigations, I think when the night is based around what they're seeing, what they're feeling,
Mm,
but there's nothing on any equipment anybody else is picking up, seen, heard, and it's like this is all about you. You could be saying anything, as far as I know.
yeah.
There's nothing to validate from us what you're saying, nothing to
Mm,
back you up. So I've had mediums like that, but I've also worked with mediums that there's I'm thinking there's somebody over there. I think the name is such and such, and then leaves it at that. You carry on investigating, and then you might get the name coming through. I like mediums that don't shove it in your face.
yeah.
That are investigating, but they can tell you little bits now and again.
Mm,
That's how I like to work with a medium.
yeah. I've said to him, look, you're a tool just like the K2, just like a Gauss. You
Yeah,
know, you can misfire just like equipment does.
yeah,
But ultimately, if you are extra special, you're a medium and you can talk to ghosts, then prove it. Is probably a wrong word, but just show me. Just be a good piece of equipment. And a lot of
yeah.
the times they're not. I'm getting a girl. Cheers. Anyway, Ouija board. You know what I mean? They're just not good enough. I'm not saying they're not a medium. I'm just saying it's not useful
No,
as a
yeah.
tool
If they
sometimes.
are speaking to somebody over in that corner, get them to move something, and if something
Mm,
moves, then wow, you're
yeah.
you're talking to them directly, asking them, can you move this, and then they do. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Mm.
But don't just have a chat with them on your own and just ignore us.
Yeah. Oh, they're standing back. They're not, well, brilliant. You might as well not bothered coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the types of spirit? If I said residual energy,
Yeah.
do you roll your eyes or do you think, yeah, there is like lingering energy?
I would say there's residual energy everywhere. Anywhere that there's been an event, an emotion.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give an example. I was on a talk once, and I don't know if you've heard of him. Adrian Perkins, the ghost detective, who writes books. Anyway, he was doing a talk. He's local to me, and he said that this one time, this was all about like residual energy and leaving an imprint. He
Okay.
said there was a car crash on the road. Yeah, bloke, big smash, man was dead. Ambulance was there, like resuscitating him, brought him back to life. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
about a year later, this man's alive now. Obviously, he came back. Driving down the opposite way, same road, he saw himself on the floor. I mean, that gives me goosebumps just saying that.
I've
And
heard
it's like,
similar.
wow, he is alive.
Yeah.
He's seen himself because he's imprinted that energy of that pain, that torture when he died, the suffering as his last breath went.
But
And
that falls under time slips as well, doesn't it?
yeah,
You
it
could
does.
say that.
But I just think that's. But yeah, residual energy. Yeah, that's normally when you get like historic building and you see like Henry VIII walking down the road, or
Mm.
the white lady, the grey lady.
Mm.
Residual hauntings. They're not going to respond to you. They're not going to interact with you. They just do the same things they're doing. Like a recording.
Mm.
Yeah.
I always think, well, I haven't, because you can't speak to those or communicate with them, like you say, it's hard to know if it's residual, if it's a replay, because you see a shadow walk into a wall, it's like, yeah, but are they just not wanting to bother with us, or is
Could
that
be
a
that. Yeah.
replay? Do you know what I mean? It's hard
See,
to say.
I think East Drive is only residual. I've been 3 times with very, very few people, like 2 people,
Mm.
and got basically nothing each time.
Yeah.
The odd noise, voice, but it was more of telling us something rather than interacting with us. So yeah, I think there's something there, but I think it's residual.
Mm.
For my own personal experiences, anyway, I've not had anything interact with me, and I've spent
My,
like 13 hours at a time there.
yeah.
It's
It was years ago. I managed to go with a team, and before it really, became what it is today.
yeah,
And I said, do you mind if I go in first? And I went in and stood in the coal
coal hole, yeah,
room,
coal
coal
shed, yeah,
hall, and went around. It was just a normal house.
yeah.
It really was. Now you go and it's some sort of fun fair. There's all things on the wall, and
I
I
know,
see it and I'm like, what's happened to the place? It was just a regular house before. Now it's a shrine to something that once happened years ago.
yeah,
And I didn't get much from that at all. And even the team, not the team, the teams, the public that went, I sort of sat back.
Mm.
Those people sat down and were like, "Is this the Black Monk? Are you the Black Monk?" It's like, that's not how you do a Ouija board. Because whatever's there will say, "Yep,
Yes, I am.
yeah, all right, the
Hello.
Black Monk's there." Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ace Drive, it gets my back up. I just think,
Some people
you know,
get amazing evidence though, and I'm thinking,
yeah, maybe,
fair play, you know.
absolutely,
But my opinion is probably the worst place I've ever been,
yeah. Now,
personally.
I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're sort of mentioning here. That when I do an investigation,
Yeah.
I find, generally speaking, that any spirits that are there come
Mm.
through quite quick. I'm talking because I've used the board a lot, so I'm not. That's always the time frame.
Yeah.
And later on, you'll get things that from further afield, and so drawn to the white light, or just us doing it like moths to a flame. Do you have any experience to add to that?
What, like when you get to a location, you start investigating, and it all
Well,
sort of kicks off quite quick.
if you're thinking, all right, there's been a death here, would
Okay.
you just presume that that ghost will come through quick if it wants to, or do you think, well, there must be a ghost here, but surely do you think, oh, that ghost must be in this location, must be trapped,
No,
can't leave, or can it
no.
wander from down the road?
No, I think it's something from, a long time ago. I think like the first year or so they go off to reflect or whatever, depending on what they're doing. Are
Mm,
they reincarnated? Are they going to come back as spirit? Things like that. So if Brian, say Brian died in that house, I'm going there next week,
mm,
and I'm not going to expect Brian's there. Definitely not. I
yeah,
would maybe a year, maybe when he's had time to whatever happens when you pass over. I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't be looking. I'm not like these people that do these spirit boxes with celebrities that have died yesterday,
yeah,
and oh, they're talking to them. No, that's not for me. That's not in
mm,
my head at all.
yeah,
Like, I'm just going there to see, is there anything there? If there is, then let's see if we can build a picture, try and communicate, maybe find out who it is,
mm,
why they're there. That's pretty. It's pretty much open. I go in with an open mind. Let's see what happens.
yeah. So what are
So,
some methods that you sort of try when you're thinking, let's try something new?
I would probably change the equipment depending on what. I would always use the spirit box to begin with. Turn Alice on. Do EVPs.
Mm,
Maybe if I've got some good trigger objects, maybe set them up, take a step back, just have like a break or something, put cameras on there, put recorders down, see if we can
mm,
capture any audio, and like have a break because sometimes you can get too focused and then things aren't happening.
yeah,
But I think if you take a step back, have a little break, coffee break, whatever, a bit of food, and then go again.
mm,
I do find towards the end of the night it just goes dead. Like that point where you say,
mm,
"Wow, this is rubbish
yeah.
now. I just want to go
Pulling
home."
teeth, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I hate those times.
How long
But
do you normally investigate for then?
it depends where it is. If it's say it's an outdoor place and it's not
Mm,
raining, probably depending on the time of year. Like if it's in the winter, obviously it gets dark at 4.
mm,
So once all the noise, like after 7 o'clock maybe onwards, maybe 7 till 12.
yeah.
Depending on how many areas. I normally do all the areas of the location that I can do, and then finish really.
Mm,
But if it's like an indoor, like a public event or somewhere I've hired, we just go until basically you get told to leave. So
yeah.
it can be. I mean, like East Drive, you're there from like 6 p.m. till like 10 the next morning. So it's up to you
Mm.
if you want to go to bed or.
But
But
like you say,
normally,
if you get those hours where nothing's happening, Jesus.
yeah, that's the time. It's just like, I've had enough now. Just
Yeah.
want to go to bed or
Well,
let's go
you know
home.
when you've had enough, don't you? It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
are you
yeah.
anyone there? Can you do this? Can you do that? And you're oh God, I'm sick of my own voice.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give new ghost hunters?
Don't be foolish. Make sure you don't think everything is paranormal. Most things are not a ghost. Learn if you've got equipment, learn how to use it. Like we said at the beginning, make sure you understand why it does what it does.
Mm,
And if you can rule everything out naturally, then there's a possibility you might be talking to a ghost or a spirit. So, but yeah, don't be foolish. Don't believe everything you see on TV. Experience it for yourself. Go in with an open mind, and I think you will be okay.
So, do you ever get skeptics telling you, I've never ghost hunted, but ghosts don't exist? And you think, well, I have, so surely
Um,
I know better than you.
yeah, I don't talk to them people.
Yeah.
I don't like because I'll have a row and I won't. I don't can't be asked for that.
Mm,
So I just ignore them people. Like if I'm in, say, I meet a group of people for the first time, someone talks about ghosts, like I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And people with me go, "Oh, he does this," and it's like, "Shut up." I ain't
I know what
talking
you
about
mean.
it. It's
Yeah.
if they want to talk about it and they're interested, then I'll talk to them.
Mm,
But if they're just going to be idiots and that's a load of rubbish, fair
yeah.
enough. I'm not going to try and convince you because I'll just get angry and it's pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't be doing with
That's
that.
fair enough. Avoid. Yeah.
Exactly.
So did I? Is it right that on your video you said you worked at a graveyard, or did I misunderstand that?
I
On your
currently
nan's one, on your nan's and granddad's, it sounded like
yes,
you said you worked at a graveyard.
yes, I am a gravedigger. That is my job.
Right. That's why I
Yes.
wanted it to be when I was 9 years old. When
Oh
it's
wow.
at first school, they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Gravedigger," and everyone still takes piss out of me for saying that. Like,
No, I did graves for burials
mm,
in my job. Yeah, I work at a cemetery.
yeah. It was
So
really nice that video where you went to your grandparents' grave
yeah,
and were doing an EVP session and all this. I
I
thought
did get
that's
nothing.
cool. Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
mean. That's what I mean. I like getting nothing. I'm
mm,
happy when I get nothing because it proves that not every time you're gonna get stuff, and
yeah,
it shows people that he's a ghost, and all you do is show ghosts, and you don't because if you are real, you are gonna show you're getting nothing.
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a proper investigation. I was just walking around the cemetery,
I know
but
that.
I was trying a few bits and bobs,
Mm,
see what happens,
yeah,
and yeah, I love working cemetery because it humbles me.
mm,
Sometimes life can do things to your head, and there's nothing more humbling than being at funeral and seeing other
yeah,
people in pain and upset, and it like really brings you down to earth. And sometimes I need that. I need
mm,
not so much anymore, but in my past I have. And I think this job is brilliant for me. Fresh air all day, brilliant for my mental health.
mm,
Because being outside in the sunshine or the rain,
yeah,
I'm digging a grave to show respect for somebody that's unfortunately passed away, and then we fill the grave in and sort the flowers out and make it look really nice, and then they can come and pay their respects, and I feel good after that.
mm.
That's something I'm proud to be able to help in that process.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to end on talking about whatever evidence you can, off the top of your head, think, oh, that was good. So, what's your good evidence stories?
Oh God.
Yeah, you got to think, whatever comes to mind might not be the best thing. You'll think later, oh, I should have said that.
uh, I've had. Oh, here we go. I've got one. Um, Last year I was at the Haunted Antiques Museum in Hinckley, and I was doing an Estes method spirit box session. I had the those red goggles on, the Delco goggles from America,
Okay,
instead of
what
a
do they do?
blindfold. Yeah, it's normally
Why?
you have a
Yeah,
blindfold
blindfold,
on,
yeah.
and you know what the Estes method is,
I
don't you?
do, we do
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, basically, you replace the blindfold with these goggles, and they're red. There's a red light in them,
Uh,
and it's said that it can put you in a meditative state, so you don't have to close your eyes,
oh,
but you can't see nothing at all. They're just red. You just see red coming through because obviously red is a spirit color, and it said that red attracts spirits. Blah blah blah. Whatever it does, who knows? Well, anyway, I had those on, and I was in there talking, and I think I said something about it's outside. Yeah, on the spirit box. That's what I heard. Mark's over there talking, asking the questions, and then I said it's coming, and then I felt something grab me like around my neck. And I'm like,
mm,
oh, get off. Obviously, I
mm,
can't see or hear anything spirit box going on with the headphones. And then it come through on here, hands on me.
mm,
Well, that blew my mind. It's like,
yeah,
it's telling me what it's doing to me.
yeah,
And I freaked out. It's like, oh my God, I've never had that in my life.
yeah,
So we had a break, went downstairs, spoke to Neil, who owns the place, and said about it. And I said, I had a name, George, coming through. And he goes, oh, that's George. His bag is up there. He used to be a surgeon for Jack the Ripper's victims, police surgeon. They've got his old like work bag, and I'm like, oh my God. So I
mm,
googled him after we went home to see if this person's real, and he was.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh my God, this man, I physically felt it, told me he was coming in the room, then he said he's got his hands on me. It's one of the best things I've ever experienced myself. It really freaked me out there because I thought, oh my God, you're going too far now.
when you read it online, you're like, I did not know that. That is
No,
not something I could
exactly.
imagine.
No, there's lots of objects in there. If you googled all them, you'd be there all year.
Yeah,
But like I say, I just go in there and see what happens. But
yeah,
yeah, to Google it afterwards and find out this George was a real person. So wow, come on,
mm,
and the evidence to back that up.
incredible.
That is one that definitely will live with me going forward. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, my friend. And
Not a problem. Really
we will
appreciate being invited on.
absolutely we'll put your links in the description. And
Thank you so
thank you.
much.